Our second reading this morning comes from Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 15, verses 35 through 38 and 42 through 50. Listen for the word of God. But someone will ask, how are the dead raised? With what kind of body do they come? Fool, what you sow does not come to life unless it dies. And as for what you sow, you do not sow the body that is to be, but the bare seed. But God gives us a body as he has chosen, and to each kind of seed its own body. So it is with the resurrection from the dead. What is sown is perishable, but what is raised is imperishable. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, but it is raised in power. It is sown a physical body, it is raised a spiritual body. If there is a physical body, there is also a spiritual body. Thus it is written, the first man, Adam, became a living being. The last Adam became a living spirit. But it is not the spirit that is first, but the physical, and then the spiritual. The first man was from the earth, a man of dust, and the second man is from heaven. As was the man of dust, so are those who are of the dust. And as is the man of heaven, so of those who are of heaven. Just as we have been born in the image of the man of dust, we will also bear the image of the man of heaven. What I am saying, brothers and sisters, is this: flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, nor does the perishable inherit the imperishable. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Will you pray with me? Almighty God, we come once again to have you speak to our hearts. So may the words of my mouth and the meditation of all of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. In general, we are a death-denying culture. If we talk about death at all, we tend to do so in general terms. Rarely do we talk about our own death. And most often when people die, they die hidden away in hospitals or in nursing homes. We often expect heroic measures to be performed, even when the patients are very old. We don't even like to say that someone died. We use to euphemistically say they passed away or have gone to a better place. Literary types quote Shakespeare and say that a person has shuffled off the mortal coil. And then, as a society, we don't grieve well. We'll say something like, God needed another angel. Or, God is testing me. Yeah, no. Those are not good things to say to someone who's lost a loved one. And, even as Christians, we tend to be afraid of death. We live our lives, we need to live our lives to the fullest. And we need to serve God and others, but we don't need to be afraid of death. And that's what we're looking at this morning. What happens when we do die? When someone dies, we miss that person terribly. Even though we know what happened, and we'll get into that in a little bit. C.S. Lewis, the great theologian who wrote so many wonderful books about theology, and the author of the book for children on theology, The Chronicles of Narnia, he wrote a book called The Grief Observed after the sudden death of his wife, Joy Davidson, in 1960. And in his book, Looking at Grief from the Outside, he wrote, "For in grief, nothing stays put. One keeps emerging from a phase, but it always recurs. Round and round. Everything repeats. Am I going in circles, or dare I hope that I am on a spiral? But if I am on a spiral, am I going up, or am I going down? How often will it be for always? How often will the vast emptiness astonish me? Like the complete novelty make me say, I never realized my loss until this moment. The same leg is cut off, time after time." Those of you who have lost someone close to you know how much it hurts. And it hurts a lot. So, what happens when we die? I'm not a physician, and so I'm not going to get much into the physical part of death, but I did just come across a wonderful book called And Then You're Dead. And the reason I came across it is My mother recently had her second ablation, that little thing where they go in the back of your heart. And my nephew gave her this book to read while she was in the hospital. And my sister had it for her and had to leave it in her room because they hadn't released her from recovery yet to go to her room. And so I could just see the nurses walking in with my mom and transferring her and see this book on the sideboard. It's actually an interesting read. It's kind of fun and it's wild. It's like, what happens if the window blows out of the plane and you're sucked out of the plane at 36,000 feet? Or what happens if a great white shark eats you? Or you're stung by bees? That's as far as I've gotten into the book. I recommend it. But it's written by both a physician, a psychologist, and a journalist. John, can you advance the slide? I seem to have lost control. But I am, however, a theologian. And I want to talk to you about what theology says about when we die. Today's epistle reading gives us a great insight into what happens when we die. Paul says that when we die, we will be given new bodies. He compares it to a seed. Tom, I've lost control of the slides. Can you advance the slides for me? Tom, can you advance the slides? I seem to have lost control. You must have bumped something back there. There we go. There we go. Thank you. The seed, he says, is like our lives. He says, the seed isn't the plant that's going to grow from it. It's just a seed. And he says that seed has to die. It has to transform in order for the plant to grow. And so it starts out as that, and it ends up as a full-blown plant, different from the seed. And I like the image of the little caterpillar that I shared with the kids in a book by Eric Carle. And there's another book called Hope for the Flowers that I've shared with you before. It's about a caterpillar who feels the overwhelming need to get up. And they climb these pillars to get there. But instead, in order to get up, what that caterpillar has to do is essentially, it has to die, go into the cocoon, and it emerges as the beautiful butterfly. It has to give up what it was, that caterpillar body, to become what it should be. Our body, this body, Paul tells us, is corruptible. It gets sick. It gets cancer. It gets other things. Our joints stop working properly. We stop being able to see well or hear. It gets fat. And it doesn't always work right. I was sitting down there with the kids going, oh boy, can I get up on my feet? But this body, Paul says, is corruptible, is perishable. What we will be given when our bodies, when we leave this body and we go into heaven, we'll be given a new body, a spiritual body that will be perfect. We don't know what that's going to look like. It might look something like what we are now. Or it might be that total transformation from the seed to the plant, or from the caterpillar to the butterfly. But here's the good news. We will still recognize one another. Our perfect bodies will be perfect to all of us. And we will recognize one another and what that is. What is so perishable, explains Paul, what is raised is what is raised imperishable. It is sown a physical body, and it's raised a perfect spiritual body. A wise person said, when we really will die, each and every one of us, and not just float off to a better place. But he says the good news is that after death, we are raised in glory and power. And after the very real deaths of our physical bodies, we are given that very new real life forever with God in our spiritual bodies. You know, it's okay to talk about death. Some of you may be going, this makes me uncomfortable. But we don't need to be afraid of it. When we talk about death, we prepare ourselves for what is to come, for our spiritual eternal life. Dante's Paradiso gives us a glimpse of what heaven may be like. Now, other Dante's writing gives us that horrible vision of what hell is. Don't listen to that. But his vision of paradise is pretty good. Commenting on Paradiso, journalist Rob Grayer says that for Dante and the medieval thinkers, salvation consists in achieving unity with God. It is the end goal of all of our striving, to return to unity with our Creator. That, my friends, is what I think heaven is. Unity with God. Scriptures describe it as a city paved with streets of gold. I think that was the most wonderful thing that John could think of to describe the pure bliss of being with God. Personally, I don't want to live in a city paved with gold. It would hurt my eyes and my feet. But that perfect wonderfulness of being with God, our bodies spiritual and different and glorious with God forever. You know, I recently read about something called death cafes that are springing up in cities around the world. The first death cafe began in England only 9 years ago. And it sounds like it's a place for dying, but it's actually the opposite. It's a place to make the most of your life through a greater awareness of what comes next. So friends, I hate to tell you this, but we're all going to die. Was it Ben Franklin who said there's nothing more perfect than, no, it was Mark Twain, death and taxes, right? Death is going to come, and hopefully you pay your taxes. When someone we love dies, we miss that person terribly. And there will always be a hole in that person, and like Lewis said, we will revisit that phase over and over again, that sense of loss, that sense of where is that person that will come back over and over. But we live with the assurance that those people are with God. And we live with the assurance that one day we too will join them, and we will be in unity with God and all of our loved ones in spiritual bodies that are absolutely perfect. Ash Wednesday, the beginning of the season of Lent, is coming up on March 6th. Today, that we remember our own mortality, and the words we use is remember that you are ashes, and to ashes you shall return, or you are dust. To dust you shall return. We remember that because of what Jesus did for us. Jesus' own death and resurrection overcame death, that we might live with God forever. So hold on to that promise, and don't be afraid of that. Our loved ones we miss, but they are living with bliss with unity with God. And we too will join them one day. Will you pray with me? Gracious God, we thank you for calling us to be your children. We thank you for allowing us to live our lives to the fullest in these human bodies, these earthly bodies. And God, we thank you for our loved ones who have gone on to be with you in their heavenly spiritual bodies, where there is no more pain or sorrow or sickness or death, but only glory and life everlasting. God, help us to live our lives as your children, knowing that one day we will be completely united with you. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Our next hymn is called "It Is Well With My Soul," or "When Peace Like a River." And it was written, the author, the composer of this hymn has traveled across the United States, from England across the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, to the United States to start a new life. And he left his wife and his child home. And on the way, he came to the United States, to Chicago, to start a new life. And he started that new life, and he raised enough money to be able to sail back and send back for his family to come over. And he sent them the money, and his wife and his child got on the boat. And as they sailed across the ocean, there was a terrible storm. And that storm took the life, killed almost everybody on the ship as the ship sank. And eventually his wife, who was one of those rescued, made it to shore, and she was able to write a brief message to him and said, "All lost. I am a lone survivor." On his way back to England to meet up with his wife again and bring her back, as he sailed across the place where his daughter was killed in that storm, he wrote this hymn, "When peace like a river comes over my soul, it is well with my soul.